Sadnam aloha, everybody, and welcome. Let me just put up my comments. I'm delayed because there was crazy noise here, and it finally stopped, so that's good. Okay, I'm just going to double check that I'm live. It looks like I am. So if you could write down your name and where, well, not your name, but just where you're logging in from, if you feel called. Hello, everybody. And we'll get into Let me just put Pluto. Up my comments. I'm delayed because there was crazy okay. Here. Just a sec. Okay. Okay. So where do we want to start here? So Pluto, I want to talk about Pluto today in the 60th, and it's been in the sign of Capricorn since 2008. So it's been really working on us, and collectively it's been working on us, but it's also been working on us individually according to our chart. So we're going to go into that, but we're going to go into the specific shadow pattern. So Pluto is coming close to the cliff, right? And it's going to be jumping into Aquarius, but next week it's going to turn, it's direct right now, it's going to turn retrograde. So that's why I was really called to talk about Pluto right now, because it's direct, and this is a window of time where you can make some action steps and get the most return on your investment before everything goes crazy, right, with the retrograde season. And then we've got the eclipse season coming up and the new moon, but I'll talk about that next week. Okay. Okay, where do I want to go next? Let's share the screen and I'll get my my visuals up and do a little reminder. There we go. Just want to Okay. Make me a little bit smaller. Oh no, I'm a good size. There we go. Okay, so a reminder what's going on the planet for humanity is we are evolving into a whole new species, and that's why we're seeing all the crazy changes out in the world. It looks chaotic, but chaos precedes innovation, right? Creation. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing it's just a reflection of what's going on in the collective unconscious of humanity. So we're evolving through the emotional body, right? If you want to evolve and grow the fastest, you've got to go to your emotions, right? What is happening to you emotionally. So not getting caught up in the details of what's going on in your life, but actually going into the emotional content. What emotions are coming up for you? That's most important. And then you feel them and you transmute them, and then you have these huge quantum leaps in terms of your evolution. Okay. So we're evolving from the mental awareness system, and this is experiencing life through the mind, right? Right up here. That's the ajna. That's our personal mind. And then we're moving into the emotional awareness system, and that's down there at the solar plexus. So that's our emotions. So we're no longer thinking our way through life, we're feeling our way through life. That's a good way to put it. Okay. And this is a mutation that's happening. This is in my webinar, the 2027 webinar that I've done, over 6 hours long, that goes more into detail about this. And let me just get the screen a little bit lower here. There we go, so we can see that, right? And so when this mutation happens in 2027, after all the emotional purification work that we've been doing as a humanity, whether you're aware of it or not, people are very emotional right now, right? Lots of fear coming up, lots of anger, lots of grief, right? So this mutation happens, and then this moves into spirit awareness, and this is where we come into frequency. This is the age of Aquarius, so we're coming into frequency, right? From the physical, the mental, the emotional, and then into frequency. This is when the floodgates open, right? When we're in frequency and spirit awareness. So it's a beautiful time to be alive. So I want you to remember that. And it's just like, we're just in our process. That's all it is. We're like muffins in the oven and we're not quite cooked yet, right? Okay, so that's a reminder of what's going on for people, especially if you're new to my channel. And, okay. And let's go to, we'll talk about, here's Pluto. So Pluto's in the 60th gate. Just a sec, you guys. There we go. And the 60th, oops, and the 60th gate down there, and that's off the root chakra, so that bottom shape, right? And then you see the 60. That's where my heart, the heart is there. And then you can see that it correlates to Pluto. It's going to be a little bit smaller. There we go. So you can see there's Pluto at the bottom there, right? So it's in the 60th gate, so correlates to Pluto. So wherever Pluto goes, it's about the truth. Like digging to the very, very bottom to get to the truth. And that means all the garbage and the crap has to come up too, right? And that's what we're seeing, all these shadow patterns. So the 60, where's the 60? Okay. So there's the 60. So it's the shadow of limitation, and it's the gift of realism, and it's the city, that's the divine gift of justice. So remember that every shadow has a gift, right? Every shadow, and there's a lot of power in our shadows. And you know, there's a lot of new age teaching. It's like, well, just whatever you focus on expands, which is true. But they also teach you to escape your shadow. Don't look at your shadow, right? We keep looking towards the light, but there's power there in the shadow, and that we can't escape our shadow, right? It's with us. So if we rise in frequency, what else rises in power is our shadow self. Right? So it's really dangerous not to look at it. And this is where spiritual ego takes over. This is why we see so many spiritual teachers fall from grace, right? Because they're not doing their shadow work. So I urge you to do your shadow work and your emotional inner child work, and not to be afraid of your shadow, that there's gifts there, right? There's powerful gifts there in the shadow. And a lot of these shadows we inherited from our ancestors, right? So we're doing a lot of ancestral karmic work, and that's what I want to talk about with the 60. That's really connected to karma. So it's in the 60th gate, and then it flips like briefly, 60 to 61. That's the shadow of psychosis, and then back again. And we're going to be in that until December 5th, 2025. And then on December 8th, 2025, it moves into the 41. So that's the start codon, right? That's the beginning of a whole new cycle for humanity. And it's in the sign of Aquarius. So you can see that this time that we're in is really like intense. And this part of it's this Pluto energy. And then it's, yeah, so it's an exciting time. But remember, we're being pressured right now. And what are we being pressured to be is to show up. We got to show up as our authentic self in this lifetime. And that's what all the pressures in life and the losses and the heartaches and the sorrows, all of that is to get us to show up. That's all the universe wants from you, is to show up authentically, like however you're feeling that day. I'm feeling really low. I'm not up for this. It's like, show up as feeling low, right? I'm feeling great, right? I'm feeling great. We'll show up as you feeling great, right? Every emotional mood is valid, right? Because it's authentic. Like, we can count on our feelings. They're authentic. They're authentic and real. So that's with Pluto. So it's going retrograde from April 29th. So next week until September, right? And so we can probably expect a lot more. Just think of the shadow of limitation, Pluto, like intense Pluto in retrograde. It's like that's doubly restrictions, doubly feel like experiencing limitations. So we could probably expect some more nonsense from the government, right? About more restrictions and lockdowns and things like that. So, don't give it too much of your power, right? And use this time, right? There's nothing wrong with the world. Like we can get into that state of like, this is wrong and we've got to fix this and we got to fix it. It's like you don't need to fix anything. It's like this is our process as a humanity. And it looks like the people in power outside us, the external, they're not in power. That's like they're just playing the role. They're actors in a play, playing the role that they have power, and they have, they play the tyrants or over us. It's the divine that has all the power. Like remember that the divine has all the power. Not to give your power away to the external, right? Okay, so let's go back to the other chart. Okay. I hope everybody's feeling good today. I'm feeling a little bit low, but I'm showing up. That's my job. My gift is commitment, so I get tested on commitment a lot in my lifetime. Whatever your main shadow pattern is and your gift, you'll get tested on it, right? To bring it out. Okay, so let's see who's here. I know it's a little bit late for people, but it was crazy. It was so noisy. Like it wouldn't have been a good time for anybody. Okay, so we got Vancouver Island, yay, South Florida, Houston, Texas, New York, Wolfville, Nova Scotia. Holy, I've been there, like Acadia. That's where Acadia is. That's a lovely little place, Wolfville. Okay, so Jen says I'm really liking the extra emotionality. You're liking it. Okay, that's good. It is. It shows you that you're alive, doesn't it? Right? And then hi, Fro. I don't know where that is, Fro. Okay. Let's just fix this here. Okay. So we talked about that. Let's have a little gander here at the chart. Ooh, look at that. We got a lot of activations in the solar plexus. Right down there, that's all our emotions. So this is the collective body of humanity. So if you've got this, it's always a good idea to have your human design chart too. You can go to jovianarchive.com and get your free chart. So if it's colored in, that means you're an emotional person. So you go through waves, like up and down wave, and up and down. Sometimes you're high, sometimes you're low, but not to get attached to it. Okay. And it's good rule of thumb for everyone, right? The emotions are a wave. Life is a wave. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. And the neutral yogi never gets attached to the up or the down, right? It's usually we want the up. We get attached to the up. I want it to feel this good all the time, or I don't want it to feel this low all the time. I want to get out of this. And it's like you have no control. You just have to learn to surf the emotional waves. Right, so we've got Neptune in the 36, which I talked about in my one of my last videos, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. Jupiter and Neptune are still in the 36, and that brings crises. It's the shadow of turbulence, the gift of humanity and compassion. So we're still in that energy. We're in a lot of Pisces energy. So this is a real time to get aligned with your spirituality, and your spiritual values. And to surrender, right? Surrender to wherever life is taking you. And wherever life is taking away, like taking people away, taking jobs away, environments away, just trust, right? That it's being taken for a reason because it's bringing you somewhere that's more aligned with who you are. So we got the 36, and then Venus is in the 22. And then we've got 37. I think Mars is in that in the 37. And then Saturn is in the 49. there. So lots of action, emotional action happening. So, right, just to like give yourself a space just to feel your emotions and let them be transmute. Because really the solar plexus, right, is the enteric nervous system below here in the navel region. It's the second brain. It's the second brain. So there's a whole alchemy that takes place with our emotions. So it's as long as you're allowing a space, not judging them, just allowing them to be just as frequency. That's all they are, is frequency. And then letting them transmute, right? And then they travel up here to the heart chakra and to open your heart. And that's what's happening for the Aquarian age. We're opening our hearts as a humanity. Okay. Okay. So let's go to the signs. And be sure to pipe in what your sign is. So rising, moon, sun. That's the order of importance. And sometimes the sun resonates with people more than the ascendant. It's usually is the ascendant is more because that's how we present in the world. And then the moon and then the sun. Okay, but one of them is going to resonate with you. And a few people have watched their loved ones signs and noticed, oh yeah, I know this is what they're going on. But this won't be a surprise, right? Because this has been, it's been in that particular house, that particular area of your life since 2008, but it's been in this shadow for quite a while, and it's going to be in there for quite a while more. So it's limitation. So let's talk about limitation, the shadow of limitation. So again, I want to poke the bear and poke the New Age teachings about, limitations are illusions. We just need to transcend our limitations. They're not real, and that's not true. Limitations are totally real. Okay, and they're not real. It's true at the same time. It's that paradox, right? We're in a body. That's a limitation right there, our physical body, because our physical body is time bound. It was born and it will have a death. We don't die, but our body will die, right? So that's an example. Another example is gravity itself, right? Gravity is actually comes from the shadow of limitation. Anything that's pulling us down into lower frequency, that even some emotions can be like that too, pulling you down into lower frequency. That's the shadow of limitation. So the problem isn't limitation itself. Like the problem isn't, we live with limitation. The problem is our attitude towards limitation, right? So our attitude towards limitation. Do we victimize ourselves, right? When we feel limited in life, or do we use it? Do we use that energy? It's like a container. That's how I look at it. To use limitation, the shadow of limitation. This is the gift of realism, is to have the right attitude towards your limitations in life, to use them as their containers, right? And look at the ultimate creativity, right? As a child in the mother's womb. The container is the womb, right? So the child can form and develop that creation. That too, we need some kind of containment, right? And so it's not necessarily a bad thing, this idea of container. It's when we fight it, the ego wants to fight it because it wants it its own way, and it's ruled by Saturn, right? Because it's Capricorn. So I always think of Saturn as, the father, right? The healthy father. When the little toddler's running in the middle of the road towards traffic, the Saturn father doesn't say, "Oh, son, stop, please come over here." The Saturn father grabs the toddler's arm and yanks him, and he might hurt the toddler's arm, right? But it's about getting him to safety. So this is what Saturn in the shadow of limitation is for us. It's about, it can be painful to be limited in life, but know that it's serving you. It's getting you on the right path. You know, if you've been through a Saturn return, you know this, right? You know this 27 to 34. It's like getting you on your right path where you're supposed to be going in life, right? So to look at it like that, like your limitations. So even like, okay, the whole collective's going to be under lockdown. Like, let's use that for an example. The ego will fight it. Like, how dare they take my freedom away, and they're corrupt and they're in this. It's like, take it to the spiritual. Finally, we got to stop, right? Running around like locusts around this planet, consuming everything we can. We got to stop and start reflecting, right? Start reflecting, looking at what's truly valuable to us. A lot of people have had a total like reshift in their thinking and their value system. I know people have left jobs and it's like, I'm not going back to that job. I got treated like crap. They don't value me, right? So this isn't like, see these, any limitations that are coming, because they're going to come this year, as these are opportunities, right? To stop and start reflecting and start creating your own dream, right? Not just following in line with whatever the media is telling you, right? So whatever you're focused on, the media is like pumping out their dream, what they have dreamed up for us, this dystopian. Don't give it any power. It's like, that's not my dream, right? This is about becoming self-sovereign, creating our own dreams. So, so keep that in mind with limitation, because we're going to go through, right, according to your sign, where you can transcend this limitation. So it's about forms. And I just want to bring up astrology, because a lot of people rail against astrology. I don't like giving my power over to astrology, and I'm so much greater and bigger than my astrological chart. And that's very true, right? But it's a container again. It's just like, it's a blueprint of who you are. It's there to help you. This is the lower frequency rebel, pushes away any kind of help or support. So what's going to happen when we don't, with astrology, it's like we expand, and then eventually we outgrow our chart. What's going to happen? We're going to discover another planet, right? Because the planets are just a reflection of our consciousness. So you see, so the form is continually reinventing itself, right? It's expanding. So we can't get too locked into like, this is the form and it's always going to be like this. This is like the financial system. It's always going to be like that. We're outgrowing the financial system. It's going to change and shift. And there are controllers that want to try to control what that looks like. But the divine is much more powerful than little people, these little people, right? So it's like, this is our time. Right now, I feel with this Pluto in the 60 is that all these containers that we've had for, you know, thousands of years, they're changing and they're shifting, and we need to be okay with that and to trust that something better and greater is coming to contain or house our consciousness and where it's going. Does that make sense to people that are on here? Okay. Okay. Oh, great. People putting their signs down. Okay, let's go right into the signs, and more will come. Okay. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say, the city, of course, right, is justice. That's the divine gift. Justice. So if you study tarot, the justice card, it's the balance of karma. That's what's happening right now, is our karmas are all being balanced. Our ancestral karmas are coming up so that they can be balanced. So remember, that's what we're doing, right? We're balancing light and shadow now on the earth plane, and it's happening through each one of us. Okay? And karma is not necessarily a bad thing. What makes it good and bad is when we start judging it, right? Karma is just a balance, action, reaction. It's a balance of that, cause and effect. Okay, so let's go for Aquarius. The Aquarius. So the Aquarius rising sun and moon, they really represent the collective. Okay. So the shadow of limitation and the balance of karma is happening in the 12th house for Aquarius. And so this is a balance, right? It's the balance. This is not about extreme, right? It's not about extremes. So it's a balance between, the 12th house is all about relaxation, taking time to yourself. It's about surrendering to the divine. And then on the other side of it is service, right? The 6th house and your work and your service and other people. So Aquarius, in the collective are learning about this balance between work and relaxation, right? With the technology, we've been just like, go, 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 go. And remember the promise with technology is like, oh, you'll have more time, more leisure time because we'll have these technological advances that will do a lot of the grunt work for us. And what's happened? Right? People are expected to do more in less time, right? Look at Amazon, right? If you've researched that, or maybe you know somebody that works there, or you work there, every second is accounted for. Bathroom breaks or this, you're treated like a robot. So Aquarius is learning that, like this balance. It's like you got to serve yourself too, right? Not be so focused on just serving other people, but to take time to relax. And so you maybe feel limited, right? Limited in that area. Like, well, I can't relax because I have all these clients, right? I'm a massage therapist and I have all these clients and I need the money and I need that. That's the limitation of your mind, right? You have to remember that the universe is supporting us to love ourselves and to be real and true. And when you really serve, remember we're all connected. 12th house says that, right? We're all connected. We're all one. That when you actually go into a place of self-love and like, I really need a day off today. I'm feeling so burned out. I feel like I'm not really present with people. I'm resenting my work. That's not a good space to be in. Right? And if you go into like, you know what, I really need this day off, and then you call your client and say, I can't give you a massage today, right? I'm feeling burned out. I need to really rest. That person's going to say, first they're going to appreciate you, right? And then they'll say, oh, that's great you said that because, I had a friend coming in from out of town and this was kind of the only day we could meet, but I had this appointment with you and I felt, right? And so what I'm trying to say is everything works out, right? Everything works out when you serve yourself with love because we're connected to the whole, right? So when you're coming from love, it's going to ripple to the other people and it will all work out. Okay? So also, this is the end of a cycle too, right? With the 12th house there. So it could be the end of a cycle of work, and coming more into a relaxed, right? More in balance, this relax and work. Yeah. So don't fight it, right? Don't fight it. Because what you'll attract is some kind of, getting stressed out, getting sick, something like that. That's the body saying, I had enough, right? I need to rest. And some people get to that point. They have to get to that point to actually give themselves permission to rest, is to get sick. It's just the culture, the sick culture. We've overproductive, workaholic culture that we've been living in. Okay, so let's do a card with this. And I don't see any Aquarius on here. And these are the ego cards. And we'll see. We'll see what the ego is saying. Oh, Heather is Aquarius. So how is your work relaxation ratio, Heather? Is it good? Okay, so what's the ego telling Aquarius? What's the ego telling Aquarius? So this is the card for Aquarius. This is the ego telling you lies, Aquarius, and it's self-attack. It's the shadow of self-attack. So this is it's a picture of a man with a knife, and he's like about to cut his arm. So and then it's connected to the 12th house. So this could be, you know, the ego saying you can't relax, right? And what happens too, I mean, let's go deep with the psychology with this, is the ego can create things in our subconscious mind. And it's really easy to say, well, I got in an accident. Like I had nothing to do with that, right? It was the other person that hit me. It's like, no, you're sending out that vibration through your subconscious mind. So if you have a part of yourself that doesn't, you know, a little parts of yourself that don't love yourself, we all do, right? We all do, because we haven't been taught to truly love ourselves. Then we'll create these scenarios where we get to attack ourselves, right? Or we can attract, like, let's go to the massage therapist again, somebody who had a really bad experience and starts attacking you, like projecting on you, attacking you. You did this and I didn't heal and my neck is really sore now. And what did you do to it? Right? That person is reflecting back what is going on inside you. There's no us and them, right? There's no us and them. There's inner and outer. There's an inner you and an outer you. So to watch this with the ego, right? Because it will want you attacking back, or like, oh, I'm so bad. Now I get to feel those feelings of shame or whatever, right? Because, oh, that person is making me feel ashamed. It's like, no, you've always had that shame there. That person is just, you drew them into your field so that you could feel that, right? So watch these little, this area of self-attack, Aquarius, areas where you attack yourself. You know, if you make a mistake, right? The ego's right there to beat yourself up about it, right? Things like that. 12th house is about compassion, right? Having more compassion for yourself, not attacking yourself, right? It's like violence against the self. That's what this is. Okay, Ginger says she's Aquarius rising with physical condition. Yeah, so resting, Ginger. Okay, so let's see what's underneath the self-attack. So yeah, before you go into that space of like, why do bad things happen to me all the time? Like, look at that, what I just talked about, this self-attack. Right? So it's about self-punishment, right? And it's all the ego. It's all that ego stuff. So let's see what, and deservability, right? Knowing that you deserve only the best. So let's see how to get out of this. Get out of this self-attack. Blessings. Blessings. So it's a person, and he's blessing everybody around him. It's like a little group of people, and he's blessing. So whatever this is coming up, this self-attack, right? Like, why did I get hit by a car? And why did this happen? And why did that happen to me? Here's the way out. It's just to bless everybody, including yourself, right? Bless them with only good things, right? The highest and best good for all. And then you're sending out that energy of love, right? To everyone that's involved with this conspiracy. And then that's going to come back to you, right? To get you out of this place of self-attack, the self-attack. Yeah. That's a nasty one. The ego's nasty. Okay. Ego's not our amigo. You got to remember that. More spiritual age lies, right? About the ego. That the ego is a good thing and we can operate completely fine without the ego. You know, the ego is like a parasite. Parasite doesn't need the parasite needs the host. The host doesn't need the parasite. Okay, so let's go to Pisces. Pisces is going through a lot. Any Pisces in the house? Yeah, for your inner work. It's good to do journaling about that too, because it taps into your wisdom, like your own innate wisdom. Remember, you got your own inner teacher, right? You got your own inner guru, that which brings you from the darkness of the ego into the light. You just need to learn to tap into it through your meditation practice and then writing about it, asking yourself a question, where do I attack myself? And then you start writing and the answers will start coming up, right? Of like, that. Oh, yeah, I do that. I do that. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, Aquarius is off and we're going to go into Pisces. And Pisces is in the 11th house. So that's your area of friendship. So there can be some karmic balance happening there, right? Between you, right? You and your own creative self, your own individual authentic self in relationship to your network of friends, right? So you can feel limited by your friends, right? You can feel like because you have to go into the space of like it's a karmic balance too. And we do have karma with certain people in our lives. So there could be some karma with your friends, Pisces, like in your network. These are also the people that you work with like online. They can be that too because it rules the internet, the 11th house. So there can be karma there. So not to go into this space of, especially if you're feeling limited and you feel compelled, like I can't get out of this. It's like, that's always a sign that it's karmic, that relationship. Yeah, so this balance, so the balance between you and your friends and you and your alone time and your own creative self and your own sense of self-love. And then it's like, how do I serve? The 11th house is like the collective, right? How do I serve the collective? And this axis point, this is the Aquarius. Aquarius rules the 11th house. Leo rules the 5th house. That's the axis, the karmic axis you're on. And so we're all going through this as a collective, right? Because we're entering the age of Aquarius where we're all one big collective, but we need that Leo, right? And that Leo energy is the love of the self. It's becoming your authentic self, right? So you can feel limited in your friendships. Like I can't really be myself with my friends, you know? Well, it's showing you something. You got to balance it out with like, who am I? Asking yourself who you are, not getting lost in the collective, because then you end up like the Borg. You know what I mean? Like you're just one group thing. That's not a strong collective. You know that we need both. So feeling limited by your friends, like really look at that and like go into like just the balance with more of my creativity, like take up a art practice or something like that. Really get to know yourself, with the 5th house on the other side. Yeah. And really looking at your friends, like, am I really able to be myself with my group of friends, right? Some friends, they get threatened, don't they? When you start to change and evolve. And it's like, you know what? I don't want to get drunk anymore and go to the bar with you, but I'd love to hang out and have a coffee or something. Well, people get threatened by that kind of thing, right? Because it's showing that maybe they're unhealthy in an unhealthy habit, right? Or that they have to change and shift. Yeah. Okay, let's do a card and we'll see if we get some more information on Pisces. You can also feel limited by your hopes and dreams for the future, right? It's like, I have all these hopes, and dreams and expectations I have for my future and where I'm supposed to be, you know, in my career or my life. And it's not, I'm feeling limited by that, right? I'm feeling limited with my hopes and dreams. Well, maybe it's your limitations. Remember, this is like Saturn, the healthy Saturn is showing you that your hopes and dreams really aren't yours, right? They're more of your friends, the circle of friends that you're traveling with, that what they want. It's not really what you want, your hopes and dreams. So if things aren't working out, like really look at it. It's like, why aren't they working out? Maybe they aren't aligned with my authentic self, right, Pisces? Okay, let's see what the ego is saying to Pisces. What's the ego telling Pisces? What's the ego telling Pisces? Inadequacy. Inadequacy. And it's a woman, and looks like they're all ballroom dancing here. And then she's on her own, just walking away. So feeling inadequate, feeling like you're not good enough with your friends, right? That you're lacking, right? Inadequacy is really a lack, feeling like a lack in your friendship. And the real gift here is like wisdom. I'm just thinking the shadow pattern of inadequacy is wisdom. It's the 48, right? That you're a deep well. With this, like you're a deep well, but you're not digging deep enough. You know, with the well, you got to let the bucket go really down, don't you? If you just put it down a little bit, there's no water there. But if you take it right down to the bottom, right, there's lots of water, lots of wisdom there for you. So inadequacy is just trying to fit, you know, you're just trying to fit in, and you're staying on the surface level with your friendship. Maybe you're not showing yourself. You're not showing your power. You're not being vulnerable with your friends. You're not showing them the depth of who you are, right? So this can totally make you feel inadequate. And again, this is the lie from the ego, Pisces, right? Saying that you're inadequate, you're not good enough, right? For your friends. Yeah. Let's see what the gift is here to get out of this inadequacy. So this is for Pisces rising, sun or moon. And again, what's going to happen if you feel inadequate, right? The ego will want you isolated. I'm not feeling up for it with my friends. They got so much going on. They're so successful, right? I'm so inadequate. I still haven't found my way. I haven't found my career. Whatever it's telling you, right? That ego. Inadequacy. Okay, what's the gift under inadequacy? What's the gift? Of course, the antidote, right? It's confidence. I picked this before in my last videos. Right? So it's like a woman with a yellow dress on. She's got the mic. She's got her fans are around her, right? So this is about being authentic, right? This is just showing you that you're not being authentic with your friends right here. You're not being real with your friends. And if they're like judge you or whatever, if you're honest with them and vulnerable with your friendship and they're judging you, there's something wrong with you, right? If you express like, yeah, I'm really struggling with finding my soul purpose, and I'm just, you know, lots of feelings of inadequacy are coming up. If they're judging you, then they're not your friends, right? And that's a gift. It's like they're not my friends, and give them the heave-ho. But people will surprise you, right? Especially if they're in your life right now, like right now, and they're sticking around. That, yeah. They may surprise you and be very compassionate towards you. And then you're real. You're showing up as real and authentic. And that's going to deepen your friendship, right? People just love authenticity. They do. At their heart of hearts, they love that. So this is what's going to give you confidence, right? And remember, the root word of confidence is confide, and this is confiding in the divine, right? That whatever you're going through at this time in your life is perfect, right? It's perfect for you because it's part of your soul's journey. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so inadequacy is connected to the ego, listening to the ego. Confidence is connected to the divine and your authenticity. That's what's going to give you confidence. Yeah. Okay, I don't see any Pisces people out there. Okay. Oh, Sagittarius Pisces sun. Okay. And a Leo moon. Okay. And then we're off to the Ram, Aries. Aries. And that's the 10th house, of course. So feeling limited in your career, Aries. Like your career is just not taking off. Your vocation's not taking off. Right? Limitation can feel like that invisible hand, you know, that, or that invisible wall that you just can't seem to climb over. You can't seem to get over. Right? So there may be some karma there. And again, it's this karma between work, your vocation, and then your own personal life. And Aries, it's like you got to feel, right? It goes down to the 4th house, right? So some karma there of not being so overly focused on your career and getting ahead, right? Competing, hustling and hassling, and then completely ignoring your inner child, right? Your inner self, your most private self. Not nurturing that. It could be showing you that, this limitation, that there needs to be some karmic balance there in that area, Aries. You're right. And Aries don't like to feel. They don't want to stop and feel. They just want to be butting their head against the wall, right? Got to get through this wall. Got to get through this wall. And the shadow of limitation is like, nope, right? That's always going to win. Nope, nope, nope. You got to stop, right? I'm limiting you. Because you need to balance out. You need to balance your emotional self with your public self. Your private and public self have to come into balance. That's what I see there. Yeah. Okay. And I just want to say, too, this is just happening to me now, coming through now, is the city of justice. It's the city of justice. So it's the karmic balance. But how the ego looks at karma and justice is based on, like, it's our whole legal system is based on this, the ego's version of justice, and that's retribution and it's punishment, right? Punishment for your actions, right? It's like something that's like, it's not pleasant, right? When you think of the word punishment, it doesn't bring up feelings of pleasure, right? Unless you're, anyway, that's, I don't want to bring that up. Yeah, but we have to look at it as justice is reward. It's a reward, okay? So when the reward for Aries, let's say, right? If they really got the lesson of this limitation, the shadow of limitation is showing them to stop, come more into balance with their own internal psychological, going to their roots, going back to their family of origin, you know, their upbringing, attending to that wounding, right? That the reward is when they come into balance, that their that shadow of limitation will be lifted in their career, and that they'll actually become more successful in an easier way, right? Do you know what I mean? Like that's the true definition of justice and just working with our karma is that we are rewarded. We get what we want, but in an easy way, right? In an easy, more balanced and healthy and self-loving way. Okay, so let's see what Aries, what the ego is saying to Aries. It's also balancing your masculine and feminine energies too, because it's Capricorn Cancer. Mother and father energy. Because remember, we do inner child work, but we also are awakening our inner parents. That's what my inner child program is about. Right? We have a trinity inside of us. The mother, the father, and the child. Okay, so what's the ego saying to Aries? What's the ego saying to Aries? That's an interesting one. This is power struggle. I don't know if you can see that. It's a man and a woman. They're like fighting. You can see that. They're fighting. Okay, so that totally fits with this. You know, and what's the power struggle is the struggle the public life and the private life. They're not in integrity. They're not in balance. That's the power struggle there, right? And we can really, because our world is so masculine, and it has been for a long time, right? The patriarchy. And this goes for men and women, right? All genders. That we're coming more into balance, right? With our feminine for both genders. So the power struggle. So this can be happening with actual people on the external. So it's the 10th house. So it could be feeling limited by an authority figure like your boss or supervisor, or somebody in your life that plays that male. It would be like a male authority figure. But remember, the struggle's really happening inside you, right? The outer reflects what's going on in the internal with this power struggle. Yeah. And it's being called to come into balance. So these two sides of you, right? We think there's only one us, but there's lots of different parts of ourselves. And this is like parts of our mind, right? Struggling for power. Who's going to get the most power? So I would look too, I mean, psychologically, Aries is look at your own mother and father, because they're the ultimate male and female, right? And did they fight, or right? Did you say to yourself, I'm never going to be like my mother? She was weak. She was this, she was that. She let my father dominate her all the time. She never stood up for herself. I'll never become like her. And then this is how this happens. Anything that's any vulnerability or any feminine energy that comes up, it's like no, I'm never going to be like that. And these vows that we make as children are very powerful. They stick with us. So I would look at this to bring this more into balance, this power struggle, and see the strength of each one, like the strength of your masculine energy. We don't toss that away, but also the strength of your feminine energy, and just bringing them more into balance and working together, right? And this is going to help with your 10th house career stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And whoever you're fighting with out in the world, to bring it back to you, it's like this conflict is going on inside me. Okay. So let's see what the gift is that can help Aries move through power struggles. This one. It's a duplicate. We already have a duplicate. Blessings. Okay? So this is saying that whoever you're having conflict with is to bless them. Right? Thank you for showing me this conflict that's inside me, right? These power struggles that are inside me. because these people are serving us, you know, and we're able to see our shadows and actually interact with people in this way, with power struggle. They're showing us what's going on inside of us, right? The way that others treat us is how we're treating ourselves, right? And the way that we're treating others is just a projection of how we're treating ourselves, right? So blessing, sending that blessing. You know, thank you for showing me what's going on inside me. I don't need you to play that role anymore for me, right? God works through everybody to show us ourselves. That's good. Okay, so that's Aries. Let's go for Taurus here. The bull. Taurus. And that's in the 9th house, of course. So this is feeling limited in your worldview, and actually having a limitation in how you. This is how we perceive the world, right? The 9th house. So bulls can be like Taurus, and can be very stubborn, right? So they can have a really limited view of what's possible for them out in the world, and can really, you know, dampen your sense of optimism, because it's Jupiter ruled, right? It's one of the lucky houses. Also, what's coming to me is study, maybe a good idea for Taurus to expand their view. So studying a subject that you're really into, and this will help to expand your consciousness in that way, with Capricorn in the 9th house. So, right. So it's also a karmic balance with the 3rd house, which is the student, and the 9th house is the teacher. So if you're a teacher, right, it's balance it by taking a course, right, upping on your study of a subject, right? Not just being the teacher, right? What makes a good teacher is they're a good student too. There's always the balance with student and teacher. You can't be just in one or the other. You can't be a perpetual student either. You have to eventually step out and teach. And then you can't be just a perpetual teacher, because you're learning. Even if you're not learning through a person or books, you're learning through life, right? So you always want to be the teachers out there that are Taurus. You always want to be a student too. And this could be limiting your perspective and your point of view and your optimism. And it's about inspiration too, the 9th house. It's like there's other people to inspire us, you know? I look at the Aquarian age as like we're all holding doors for one another. The Piscean age there was one master and there were many students. And the Aquarian age is we're all self-masters, right? We're all mastering our lower self. And then we're opening up doors. Hey, come in this way, right? And somebody's opening a door for you, and then you go in that door, and so on and so on. Yeah, that's what I would say for Taurus, for this limitation. And you've been learning this, right, with the 9th house. Anyway. Okay, so let's see what the ego is saying to Taurus. And at the same token, too, if you're a Taurus and you're following a particular teacher, you may have hit a wall with a teacher. No, we're not meant to be with the same teacher forevermore. You know, that sometimes we have to expand, and that form will change, right? This is all about transcending forms or particular teachings that you've been following and that you're outgrowing. Like, that's natural for that to happen. Yeah, so just look at that. Okay, so what's the ego telling Taurus? What is the ego telling Taurus? This one here. This one, failure. Failure. Right there. So it's a person sitting on a stool in the fetal position. So this is the ego saying you failed. You failed. So, and it's so cut and dry, isn't it? The ego in the shadow. It's like black and white thinking. You failed or you succeeded. But it's all based on the ego. It's not based on you, the self, right? So failure, I mean, the ultimate failure is death, really. Physical death, that I didn't survive this lifetime. So that'd be a place to look in the 9th house. Just because it's teaching, right? That's like a pass or fail, comes from the educational system. That there might be a place for you to look in terms of emotional wounding around school, right? To look there. Or a parent, right? Who called you a failure, like our parents' words, like they're like daggers, you know? There's that old Indian saying that the cuts from a sword heal much faster than the cuts from a tongue, right? Like the words that are spoken to us can really affect us. So I would look at that too. Yeah. And that there's no such thing as failure, you know, really. We're discovering, we're learning. We're here in our earth school, like our whole earth is school. And so we're discovering, we're making discoveries, we're learning from our mistakes, that there's no such thing. The ultimate failure is just to give up, right? And not to stop learning from life. Yeah. And again, it keeps you, like the ego wants you away from your soul purpose, wants you away from people and isolated, right? So let's see what the gift is under the failure. Can make you afraid of learning too, and trying new things and risking, taking risks, right? The ego telling you you're just going to fail, so why bother? Or there's that fear of failure. So it's about reframing, right? I didn't fail. Okay, I got a divorce, right? And the ego is like, you failed at your marriage and you failed at this because right, you had to quit or whatever. You didn't continue your studies or whatever. It's like, don't listen to the ego. It's like, what did I learn from that experience? As long as you're true to yourself, right? You're not a failure, you're a success. Okay. This is a gift under the failure. Gift under the failure. Commitment. It's commitment. Okay. Okay. So it's commitment. So it's a man and a wife and little baby. Commitment. Yeah. So this is really interesting. So commitment, failure in the 9th house and the shadow of limitation. Commitment. I think it's about really moving past this whole notion of failure and what the ego is telling you. And it's about taking risks. That's what I see here, is taking risks. As a teacher, right? As a teacher, as a student, but particularly as a teacher because it's in the shadows in there. And to not go into this, like just commit to the whole process, the learning process that you're in, right? And it's about inspiration. Like where are you gathering your inspiration from now? What are you inspired to do right now? What's lighting you up, right? The energy right now is like crazy, insane, like good, you know? And with this success, failure, and this duality, like there's such a rift now between feeling really great and uplifted and excited and passionate about life, and then feeling down and this, right? This energy, this failure energy. You know, I don't want to go on. I'm so pessimistic, right? The shadow of the 9th house. right, it's really easy now to know where you're at in terms of your consciousness. So I would say commit to those higher frequencies. Do you know what I mean? Like if you go into your meditation, you're going to feel it, right? Like feel what is lighting you up, right? What ideas, the ninth house, what inspirations are you having, and commit to that. Don't commit to this that I'm going to fail. It's committing to the ego, right? You want to decommit. You want to divorce your ego, and you want to commit to that life is getting more and more better and more expansive. And it is, right? The ones that are really taking, like really evolving and going for it during this time, right? We're having a great time. I'm having a great time. I have my low points, but they're really rare now, and it's this energy. And it just shows me like, that's not where I want to go. That's not where I want to be. I want to be in the commitment. So commitment is just like committing to the divine, committing to the process, committing to this learning experience that you're going to go on, right? And that's what's going to carry you through, right? Is commitment. So that's really good for Taurus. So don't give up, right? The ego wants you to give up, that you're a failure. And that sometimes means like getting to a low point. If you get into a low point, is to keep your commitment and go through that process. Don't give up so easy. Okay, so let's go for Gemini. I don't see any Taurus on the call. And there's Gemini. And that is in the 8th house, right? 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Yep. That's heavy. It's heavy for Gemini. So the 8th house is phobias, right? Deep phobias from past lives about being limited, right? So that could be limited in marriage, right? Past partnerships from past lives. You may be in a past life relationship right now that's pretty heavy, right? That's bringing up these feelings of limitation and experiences of limitation, limited by your partner, like your marriage partner, Gemini. And so the karmic balance, remember this is very karmic, and the 8th house is karmic anyway, so it's doubly karmic, that there's justice coming, right? So there's rewards coming, right? Justice is coming. And this is the 2nd house, 8th house thing. So it could be feeling limited by your partner, that you've got to support them, right? That they're not pulling their weight, or vice versa. You're too dependent on them financially. And so the balance is more the self-reliance, right? Like I'm self-reliant. I can take care of myself. And then I can merge, right? Because the 8th house is about merging, and then I can merge with my partner. I know my identity. And that's so important, in relationships and marriage, is to know that you can take care of yourself, right? And not to go into that state of dependence on another person. Yes, there's interdependence, and then there's codependence, right? And then there's independence. You want the middle ground, which is interdependent. Yes, I have needs in this relationship, but I'll be fine too. I'd survive too if I didn't have this person, right? So this balance taking place for Gemini, rising sun and moon, to know that. And that your partner can take care of themselves too, right? That you don't have to feel so responsible for your partner, especially when it comes to survival stuff. Like they're not going to survive unless I support them financially, right? Yeah. Ginger, what do you got to say? Because you're Gemini sun with the 8th house, and we'll see what lies that the ego is telling Gemini with limitation. Okay. Okay, what's Gemini? This one. Oh, this is good. It's called littleness. Littleness. So it's a crowd of people, but it's an adult person and they're like tiny compared to the crowd there. So littleness. This is all about I'm too little, right? And they're too big. I'm too little to do my soul purpose. Totally fits in with this 8th house, right? And the 8th house is all about past life stuff and phobias where you were too little, you know, and life was too big. And so this is a total, so feeling limited by your partner and needing to come more into balance with the self-reliance that you're not too little, that you can handle anything. And so self-reliance, yeah. Okay, so Ginger's saying I need to let myself believe that people will be okay without me. Yeah, that they'll survive without me. And this is like a little ego trip because it sounds so noble, doesn't it? Right? I'm taking care of other people. Look what a good person I am. Because remember, the ego is always a payoff. And the payoff is to keep you away and keep you distracted from your soul purpose. Right? They're too little. Right? They're too little. These people in my life, they're too little. They can't, right? They're so vulnerable and they're such little victims and they couldn't possibly survive without me, you know? And it's a big distraction, especially when you're being called out to do your soul purpose, whatever that is. You got it like a handy little excuse. Well, my husband, he's been unemployed for so long, or he's got a disability and I can't do that. I've got to take care of him. Right? It's all an excuse of the ego, right? That they're not too little, right? No one's too little. We all have our connection, the source, right? Yeah. And to just do something new. And remember, we're all connected, right? So when you step forward in your self-reliance, right? And knowing that everybody is okay without you, they don't need you to save them, then that other person's going to step up. Right? They're going to, because the thing is we can be trying to do we can be taking away someone's spiritual lesson from them, thinking that we're taking care of them. That's codependency, right? It's enabling. So I'm too little, it's too big. That's just an excuse from the ego. So you're either projecting that outward or this is the story it's telling you too, right? That you're too little, it's too big. Okay, so let's see what the gift is. See what the gift is here. For Gemini, what's the gift? This one. Okay. The gift from the too little, I'm too little, it's too big is effectiveness. Effectiveness, and it's somebody playing basketball and they're dunking the ball there. So effective littleness in the 8th house. So this is opening up to that there's a more efficient way of doing things, right? And if you're a projector in the human design system, you know this. We all have this, us projectors. We can see where energy is wasted, where somebody, especially what patterns people are, what emotional patterns people are in or what blocks they're in. And I'm a projector. So I walk into a place like a business or something. I know right away, it's like this system is so inefficient. Like that person should be over here. They should be doing this. Like, and I'm not even trying. That's just where my mind goes. Because we know about energy, right? We know energy. And so this is about getting effective with your energy, getting out of this too little, I'm too big. So if you're feeling like you're taking care of somebody financially, then you're open up to like this gift of effectiveness. Like how could this be more effective, this energy use that I'm wasting, trying to take care of this person. How can this person be more empowered, right? And the use of energy. And you just open up to the creative solutions. That's all. To get out of this. The ego wants everything so complex, right? Everything so complex. Yeah. Yeah, so effectiveness, right? How you're using your energy. And, like go get your human design chart and you're going to find, if you're a generator, most of you out there are, you're going to find that there's some projector swarming around you somewhere. There's always a projector around, right? Because generators and the projectors are attracted to one another. And ask them, right? What would you do here? And they'll come up with some answer because we all have this gift as projectors, this effectiveness. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So efficiency, you want to be efficient with your energy. Because one of the limitations that I talked about is time. We're only here for a certain amount of time on this earth plane. So you want to be really effective how you use your time, not be wasting it, taking care of people that don't need taken care of. Okay, so let's go for Cancer. Let's go for Cancer. Okay. And that should be in the 7th house, of course. So Cancer, rising sun or moon. And we got the shadow of limitation over on the opposite side of you, which is your partnerships, right? Your who you're with. So this can be your marriage partner too. It could be a business partner. So feeling limited by your partner and what you can do and what you can't do in your life, or your business partner. And so there's justice that's coming. And what's coming to me right now is that about karma, right? Because this shadow is very connected to karma and the balance of karma, that you may have karma with your partner, right? You may be, a lot of relationships have come, and this is changing, have come together because of karma, right? Past life karma. And that this is, as we come more and more into the Aquarian age, it's going to be less and less about karma and more about soul allies, right? So not so much conflict in our relationships. Have you ever wondered that? Why is there so much conflict in our relationships? Because they're coming together from karma, past life karma. And they're not coming together in higher consciousness, right? And that we're here to help each other achieve our soul purpose, right? There's no sacrifice. There's none of that. I'm the one sacrificing for this other person. That's Piscean, It's like, no, we're both self-sovereign, whole unto ourselves, but we're also helping the other, right? Empowering the other to do their soul purpose. And that usually our soul purpose is the same anyway with the new Aquarian relationships. So there could be some of that too going on in your partnership, like this paying off of karma. You're going to feel this kind of completion start to happen. And so the justice here is between you, right? Between you and yourself and your needs as a Cancer, and then the needs of your partner. So bringing that more into balance. So less sacrificing. That's what I see with Cancer. Less sacrificing of yourself and your authentic self to your partner because it was karmic, right? So we're in a very, very karmic time, right? Until 2025 with this shadow pattern, especially for you, Cancer. Yeah. So let's look at a card there. So again, it's like the 8th house. There could be a lot of excuses, right? Why you don't do things because of your partner. Okay. What's the ego telling Cancer? Interesting. Jealousy, which is totally a partner thing. So two people and then this woman, that the woman's jealous of this other woman, I guess. Anyway, it's the jealousy card in the 7th house in the shadow of limitation. Yeah. So jealousy, so there could be some jealousy of your partner. Let me just get the gift card and then we'll really put it together here. I have some ideas, but I want to just be sure here. Okay. What's the gift for jealousy in Cancer? Gift for jealousy in Cancer. Okay. 29. I think it's that one. Okay, so it's listening within. It's a woman by the beach, right? Nice, serene, peaceful setting. And then this jealousy. So right away it's saying well, you're not listening within here. You're listening to the ego. I don't know. I keep hearing the word manipulation. By the partner, in a way of limiting you, keeping you in your place. So what is jealousy? It doesn't matter, right? Like your partner could be trying to make you jealous and mentioning other women or other men, right? To kind of keep you in line. Because it's a very, it's a powerful thing, right? It's when we feel jealous. But where is this coming from? Because your partner could be doing all that, but then it doesn't get in, right? And you're not seeing through it. Well, this goes back to childhood. We take this right back to childhood, this notion of jealousy. So it goes back to when we were siblings. So a younger sibling is born, and this is when the jealousy is born at the same time. So it goes back to childhood. So your partner may be showing you this, that you have this jealous streak inside you, but don't go to the partner and what the partner's doing, whatever he or she is doing to make you jealous or you're making your partner jealous, is to really go back to your childhood. And when you say you're the oldest sibling and then you had a sister or brother born after you, like that's the root of this, is this jealousy. So that there's a lack, right? Jealousy is all about a lack. There's a lack of love for me, right? That all this love that was directed on me is now being directed on someone else. And this is, do you see how we do this in partnership, how this works, this psychology works? So this is about, there's an abundance of love. That's what you need to remember, that the ego is going to tell you that there's not enough love, that there's an abundance of love, and to start listening within, right? And this is where you're going to feel that, you're going to hear that voice of love, is when you start to listen within your own self. And and less to this ego about this jealousy. So feeling limited by your partner, this dynamic may be up for you right now, like feeling jealous of your partner. Yeah. I just saw that word, when you see words kind of for the first time, Gia lousy, Lousy, jealousy. Okay. And the Cancer. Just want to check one more thing before we move on. Yeah, and the other thing I want to say about with Cancer, because this can make us very reactive, like when the ego is telling you to be jealous and you're not good enough, because it's really saying you're not good enough, your body's not sexy enough, or you don't look like that person that your partner is eyeing, you know, or you don't have this quality that your partner really likes in this other person. It's like a deep insecurity there, isn't there? Is to not react in the moment, keep it inside. You don't need to express this. You don't need to put it on your partner. Just take it inside, right? Listen inside and just feel the emotions, because that's the content. You don't even need to go back. I mean, it goes back to your childhood, but you just deal with what the emotions that are coming up for you at the time. And then you just feel those, because it's a heartbreak, right? The child is heartbroken when the sibling is born. Yeah, and that's the origins of it. Yeah, so don't react to your partner, because this is going to cause a rift between you and your partner. Okay, that's Cancer. And then let's go for Leo. Leo rising, sun, moon. And I think there's some on the call right now. And, oh, it's the 6th house. The shadow of limitation. So, you know, Capricorn's been in there since 2008, limiting your health. So you may have to go back. See, what with this retrograde coming up too, like everyone that I've talked to so far, that you'll have to go like do a little rewind, a little reflection, especially if you haven't moved through it, right? So there could be a limitation. Oh, there's a Leo here. So there could be a limitation in your work habits, right? Because Leo is a fixed sign, so you can get kind of stubborn about your work habits, and it's got to be this way. This is my daily routine, and right? And this shadow pattern is, you know, the gift of it is to be more flexible and adaptable in your work schedule, in your health routine too, that you don't have to be so rigid, because can be causing you limitations, right? And what you're attracting in terms of your work and health. And so this is this balance, right, with like Aquarius, this 12th house, 6th house. So, you know, the work relaxation has to be in balance for you too, just like Aquarius. Yeah, and going back to any old health stuff that's coming up to be fixed. So I'm a Leo rising, Leo moon, and my teeth, right? I've had, like in Capricorn rules, teeth. So this has been my thing, like finally dealing with the dentist and stuff. So I made the call, right? Before Pluto goes retrograde, just to deal with it, right? Just to deal with it. So there could be like old stuff like that. It's like deal with it. Take the action, right? This week, especially before that Pluto goes to retrograde, just to start planting the seed, because it's just going to get worse. Whatever it is, it's just going to get worse. Okay, so let's see what the ego's telling Leo. Oh, we've got a Leo and a rising Leo. Are you relating to that, C.A. Patterson and Joy? Like your work habits, your health issues? So also the archetype of the slave is also in the 6th house. So really transmuting that too, that you don't have to be a slave to your work, especially with you've got Taurus, right, in the Uranus and Taurus in your 10th house. You got to learn the relaxation work thing. Yeah, big time. Okay, so what's the ego telling Leo? The stubbornness, yeah. Okay, what's the ego telling Leo? What's the ego telling Leo? Oh, this is good. Yeah. This is called the dark story. It's the dark story. And it's a person walking into outside, it looks like, with a little crow on its shoulder. Okay. So this is what we're kind of writing. Remember, we're in a mental awareness system right now, right? Moving into the emotional awareness system. So the mind is always commentating on what's going on and kind of writing our story for us. Well, this will if I do this, then this will happen, right? If I take the day off from work today, well, then this will happen, and I won't be able to do this, and then right, and then I'll be late with my rent. I won't attract enough money. Whatever it is, the dark story. That this is like to stop doing this. Right? Because we can create with the thoughts in our mind, and especially when we have the emotions behind it. So there'll be fear, right? And then we'll attract that in. So it's just like moment by moment by moment. Like don't go there. Because this is what the ego does. It's like, well, if you do this, then all these bad things are going to happen. And it's not true. So you want to drop your dark story. And if you want to write a story, write an optimistic story of all the great things that could happen, right? Not all the bad things that could happen. Do you see how this limits us? Right? That's the limitation right there, is writing this dark story about what nightmare could happen. And all the things, if you look back, all the things that you're really worried about, they never happened, right? You're not homeless. You're not out on the streets, right? None of that stuff ever happened. Yeah, so this is what the ego is telling you, to stop that. Okay. Flexibility is good. It's good. The Aquarian age, we have to be more flexible because we're coming more and more into the unknown, right? The unknown and the uncertainty. We have to be okay with uncertainty. So the fixed signs like Leo, right, have to learn that. And it's about trusting yourself too. You're able to be flexible and go with the flow when you can trust yourself. Okay. And trust the energy. Okay. I was talking to someone about this the other day. It's sometimes the energy is there for something. Sometimes the energy, especially if you're self-employed, the energy is there for work. And then sometimes it's not there for work. Sometimes it's there for rest, right? So it's about trusting where the flow is, where the energy is right now. So even if you've got a big event to do in a couple days and you're feeling like really low, you got to trust that the energy will be there in a couple days for you. And that's how it works, right? Remember, we're coming more into frequency for the Aquarian age. So we have to learn energy. We have to learn all about energy. That's our school right now. Okay. So what's beneath that dark story for Leo? Creativity. Just what I was talking about. That's the energy. The energy of creativity is underneath the dark story. So when you catch yourself, Leos, letting your mind run with some dark story, don't listen to it. Right? The ego can be the greatest salesman in the world. Somebody can come to your door selling vacuums, the greatest salesperson ever. It's you that's got to buy it, right? They can't push it on you. You have to buy it. It's like this. You got to buy the story. Are you going to buy the dark story, all these horrible things that are going to happen to you? Right? If you are flexible in your work schedule. And what comes is creativity. You can't control that, right? But it's underneath this, the dark story, is the creativity. Yeah, and this is the energy of love, right? This is your heart open. That's what creativity is. It's love energy. Yeah. Beautiful for the Leos. Okay, let's go for Virgo. Virgo. And that's probably going to be in the 5th house, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So Virgo is in the Virgo sun, moon, rising is in the 5th house, feeling limited by your romantic life, maybe your children, if you're a parent. Feeling limited by your inner child, because it's also the inner child house. Limited in your self-expression, right? And again, you got to go up to the 11th house, and that's your friendships, right? So maybe feeling limited in there's some balance that's happening with your friends and your own self-expression. So maybe it's time for you to start going out more, right? Virgos, being with your friends more. That's what that's saying, to transmute this shadow of limitation, right? And expressing yourself more to other people, not keeping it all inside, too. Let's do a card for Virgo. Being more real, right? Being more real, being more authentic. Showing up for your friends. Okay. What's the ego telling Virgo? Jealousy. Another one. It's a duplicate. Jealousy. Yeah. So this is part of your limitation, like limiting yourself, your self-expression. The thing too about jealousy, I also want to go into the golden shadow. The golden shadow. So we know the dark shadow, right? Everything that we've disowned, repressed, made wrong, and then we project on other people, right? Well, jealousy is showing us something too, right? So if you're jealous, Virgo, of somebody that's like a really good writer, it's because it's in the 5th house, right? Like really gifted writer, gifted speaker, very intelligent, and you're jealous of them, that means that's in you too, right? That's how jealousy works. That means it's in you too. So whatever we're envious of is like, it's something that's underdeveloped in us, right? We may not even be aware of it, that we even have that gift, but the jealousy is showing you, right? The envy is showing you that it's also in you. So Virgo, think of what you're jealous of, who you're jealous of, right? Means that you have it, right? You have it. And it's about bringing it out. Because sometimes, people will be jealous of someone and I don't get it, right? It's because I'm not jealous of them in that way, but it's about that person, right? It's about that person. And it's really saying, I'm jealous of that person because I'm not living to my highest potential and they are, right? You see this, the haters online, right? They're really jealous because they're not living to their full potential. So that's what I would say, Virgo. And it's got something to do with creativity because it's in your 5th house, right? Or you may be afraid that your friends will be jealous of you. If you shine your star too bright, they're going to be jealous of you, right? We've been taught and conditioned that. Don't get too big for your britches, right? Keep small, keep little. Yeah. So don't worry about this or what other people think of you. Okay. And there will be people that are jealous, but it just means they're not living, right, to their true potential. So let's see what's underneath jealousy for Virgo. Okay. This one. Ah, it's the butterfly. Transformation. It's transformation. So what I see here is owning it, right? I'm jealous of this person because they have what I want, right? They have what I want. And because I see it, it means it's inside me. So I'm going to let that transform me, right? And so just becoming aware of it, letting it into your awareness. I want this, right? And I know I have it because I can see it. And then you let go of the jealousy. And it's like, thank you for letting me see myself, right? We're all mirrors for one another. And then the transformation happens. Then you come out as the butterfly. And those gifts start to emerge. The jealousy keeps the gifts down, right? That energy keeps the gifts from really coming forward. The ego wants you here in jealousy. Doesn't want you in this transformation. So that's beautiful for the Virgos out there. Letting go of the jealousy. Same with the Cancers, right? Letting go of their version of jealousy. Using the emotional content more in their partnerships. Okay, so let's go for Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising. 1, 2, 3. Mother issues. So Libra's got the shadow of limitation in the 4th house, and that's all about your home, right? It's about your mother. So you can feel limited at home wherever you're living now. You could have a mother figure. It doesn't necessarily have to be your mother. It could be your partner is playing the role of your mother. So feeling limited by your partner, right? Maybe feeling too smothered by your partner or too controlled by your partner in your home life. Feeling limited by your emotions, right? Your emotional self. What else was I going to say about that? It's really about your roots, right? The 4th house is about your roots. So going back to your family of origin, that's where that limitation is. So often our partners will play the role, until you've healed this, of one of the parents. And it's amazing, right? When you really look back at your partnerships and your past boyfriends and girlfriends and stuff, how they're this perfect mixture sometimes of your mother and your father to bring up these wounds, right? So if this feeling of limitation. So there can be some karma, right? In the 4th house for you, Libra. And it's also connected to there's a balance between your career, your public life, and your private life. So needing that balance, right? Of dealing with those emotional hurts and pains, right? So that you can be out in the world, in the public, but also be at home, right? It's the masculine, feminine energy again, right? Balancing your masculine and feminine energy. So limiting your feminine energy. And the thing is, when we do that, when we have a controlling woman in our life, I'll use that example, like a controlling woman in our life, what we're doing is we're projecting our own feminine energy on that person, that it's about owning that ourselves. It's like you don't need to play this role anymore of the wounded feminine. It could be a wounded feminine, and to bring that back inside, it's really about your wounded feminine, So feeling limited in that regard. So let's see what Libra has to say here. Or you could feel limited in your role, right? Maybe you're playing the feminine role, Libra, the mother role in your relationships, right? At feeling limited at home. Playing kind of that nurturing role for other people, but feeling limited by that role, right? Because you're bigger than just this role of mother, nurturer to other people. Because you got that 10th house, that Capricorn. So balancing the masculine and the feminine energy for Libras. Yeah. I know too. It's bringing that softness because it's Capricorn in the fourth. Bringing that softness to your public life too, not just your private life. You know, because Cancer is so nurturing and soft. Yeah, limited by emotions, Joanne said. Joanne, are you a Capricorn? Or a Libra, I mean? Yeah. So the thing with that shadow of turbulence, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction that I did a video on, is this fear of being overwhelmed by our emotions, right? So we have to remember that we're not these fragile little flowers, like to let ourselves be overwhelmed by these emotions, and just all we have to do is feel our way through, you know? But they're not pleasant to feel shame and feel guilt and all that other anger or sadness or fear. But on the other side of it, something beautiful and wonderful. Okay, so what about Libra? What's the ego telling Libra? What's the ego telling Libra? It's addiction. Libra rising sun or moon. So this is how you're dealing with this, feeling limited at home. Is addiction. And what's addiction? Like we know the usual suspects, right? It's about an attachment. It's an attachment to something outside of yourself that you feel like you think that you need to get through life, right? So you look at like alcohol, it goes back, and you could be dealing with someone else too with an addiction too, right? It works both ways with this. But the addiction is like with alcohol, it's about a broken heart. It's trying to deal with a broken heart. So this is not going to help with the shadow of limitation, you know? I just feel like you got to express, Libra. You got to express more emotionally, right? Express yourself, be vulnerable and express yourself emotionally and connect. Addiction is the opposite of connection. Again, it wants you isolated and alone. But as soon as you connect, you're going to move out of this energy. Connect with another in a real way, right? In a real way. And then if you're dealing with somebody with an addiction, don't try to save them, right? Don't try to save them at all. You go like, this is what enablers do all the time, right? It's them, the codependents. It's them. They're the one that's all screwed up and I'm perfect and I'm okay. But this is an addiction. You're addicted to the person with an addiction, right? So that you don't have to deal with your stuff, your emotional stuff. So look at it like that too, Libra. If you don't really see, well, I'm not really addicted to anything. Yeah, you are. You're addicted to the person with the addiction. If you have this in your life, right? So you have to go inside and it's like, okay, what am I avoiding? What broken heart am I avoiding? You know? Let's see what the gift is. And Libras are not so good at speaking the truth, right? They want to keep the peace. Libras want to keep the peace, sometimes at the expense of their own self. Saying things, but not really meaning them, just to keep the peace, right? They're the relationship sign. So it takes a lot to get the Libras to come out, you know, really speaking the truth and being direct. Yeah. So when you feel that, if you're a Libra, go reaching for some kind of addiction, because it could be Netflix or the internet or shopping, whatever it is. Okay, what am I avoiding here? What am I avoiding? Oh, I think I need to express with my partner at home about something that's important to me. Okay, and what's under this addiction for Libra? This is a really good one. This is called accountability. Accountability. So it's a man painting a picture of him and his partner, but he's painting himself in there too. Right? So what I'm seeing here is being accountable What I'm talking about is being responsible. So if you have a partner with an addiction, if you have a partner with an addiction, be accountable, right? This is not about me and them, us and them. This is about us, right? In the Aquarian relationships, there's no my problem, your problem. It's our problem. So if a partner has an addiction, it's our problem. Meaning I have this problem too, but it looks different. It's a different expression. So the accountability is going to get you out of the addictive energy, right? Yeah. Are the Libra moons and suns relating to this at all? In terms of your emotional self? Maybe this is from childhood, your dynamic too, your mother and your father. Maybe your father or your mother was an addict of some kind. This limitation. Anyway, there's a balance taking place, right? In that masculine, feminine energy, right? The masculine is being more assertive and expressive of that feminine energy instead of like, right? Because alcoholism's about that. It's about squelching that expression, that masculine energy to keep the peace. Okay. Scorpio. Let's go for Scorpio. And that should be the third. Yeah, the third house. So Scorpio, sun, rising, moon. The shadow of limitation in the third house. So limited by your communication. Yeah. Limited, feeling limited with your communication. Feeling limited by a sibling, like sisters or brothers too. But it's all about your communication, right? Feeling like I can't say that, right? All that, and the ego will say, well, you can't say that because that will set them off. It won't keep the peace. You got to be nicey nice. You know, the stories the ego tells you. But it's also limiting your thinking, the way that you're thinking about something, the way that you're communicating about something. Let's do a card and we'll get focused here. Speaking of effective energy. You could feel limited in your environment too, because the third house is also about your environment, feeling limited. You can't be yourself, you know? Yeah, addictions are huge. Addictions are huge. And actually, I'm going to be doing a video on the eclipse coming up. It's in the shadow of addiction. And we live in an addictive culture, you know? We're conditioned to be addicts. There's socially acceptable addictions, right? Like work, but that's still an addiction. Or being busy. It's another socially acceptable addiction. Case, what's the ego telling Scorpio? I think Scorpio got this card last time. Okay. So this goes back to your family of origin. In the third house, so that's siblings, sisters or brothers. This is where this is coming from. This emotional wound about not being able to communicate your authentic self. There could have been violence, right, in your family. You know, siblings can be horrible to one another. If you spoke the truth, it's about Scorpios, right? Scorpios like to talk, like to get to the truth, right? They're ruled by Pluto. Pluto's all about the truth. And maybe your sibling didn't like that too much, right? So it's looking at that, and now you've internalized that, right? It's like, no, I can't say that with certain people, the ones that remind you of your siblings. Yeah, so this goes back to family dynamics here. And so it's the axis, right? The justice is with the ninth house. So that's the teacher, the student. So becoming more of the teacher. So learning, that's what I would say to Scorpios, like, because you love psychology. Scorpios love psychology. And if you haven't delved into psychology, you should. Scorpios, like getting to the root of why people do the things they do. So the ninth house, the justice, is like learning about these dynamics and where they come from. And I think this will really help you and to help you to communicate, right? In an effective way. Yeah. Yeah. So Jen, are you Scorpio? I forget what you said. I don't see you. Yeah. Yeah, Jen is saying about her brother, 5 years older, brutal, used anger. Yeah, some siblings do that. They use anger, they get their way. Yeah. We forget about the impact on our siblings, you know? We talk a lot about the mother and the father, their earthly mother, earthly father, but siblings too have a big impact on us, especially older siblings. Okay. Okay. What's the gift behind the family for Scorpios? Yeah. Just because it's Capricorn in the third too, that there wouldn't be much emotional communication, right, with you and your sibling. Not like honest, vulnerable communication. There could have been anger, like aggressive, physically expressed anger. Oh, look at that. Self-value. Yeah. Self-value. So this is a lack of self-value, that you have nothing to say, right? And nothing of value to say or to communicate. You might have felt like this when you were a child with your siblings in your environment. And now this is all coming out, right? So you can work through this, right? This dynamic for yourself. So that justice, right? So I would expect, you know, with this placement here, if there's a sibling still alive, that you two are going to have a heart to heart, or you've already had a heart to heart already, going over your family life with this to get out of that shadow of limitation. And remember, it's you now limiting yourself. This happened in the past. There are experiences that have already happened, right? They're already done. And now the limitation is just totally in your mind. So you're doing it to yourself now. So it's just to be aware of the feelings, right? And Scorpios are such deep feelers. Just to feel it, like, oh, I'm feeling fear right now. I feel like I can't say that. Where is this? Why? This is your favorite word, Scorpio, is why, to get to the truth. And what you're going to do when you go, why, you're going to get to the feelings, like the fear and the hurt and the sadness, you know, with your relationship with your brother or your sister. Yeah. Yeah. So Jen's saying my brother and I need that. Yeah. I have a friend here. His brother just came to visit him. He hasn't seen him in 15 years. And I was just like really applauding him, because I remember him telling me years ago that he wasn't talking to his brother. And I have a brother, and it's really healing you can't place a price tag on that relationship with your sibling, because they understand. You can just say a few words and they know exactly what you're talking about in terms of your family. I mean, they had a different experience of your parents. We all do. But they get it, you know? They're the closest ones that you can find on the earth that will understand what you went through in your family of origin story, right? Anyway, so healing for my friend. to be with his brother right now. And I said, it's so good because you can do the post-mortem on your family, right? And that's what I did for my brother. Yeah. Yeah. So Scorpio, just open up to that conversation to have with your, maybe you need to do a little bit of study, right? In that ninth house to be able to be communicate clearly for that healing. That would be a deep healing for you. Okay, so let's go for Sagittarius. Sagittarius. Okay. And that's the second house, speaking of self-value. So feeling limited in your finances here, and your money, feeling limited by money, not enough money, probably. Feeling limited by your sense of self-value and like not valuing yourself. You know that if you valued yourself more, that you'd be further along in your life, like dealing with that. And then the justice energy is coming through the second and the eighth house. So it's other people's money and then your own money and your own sense of self-value. So you could be really limited right now in terms of your growth and your evolution because you're too focused on you, right? And your self-reliance and your independence, and not opening yourself up to the eighth house, right? Which is other people, and merging with other people, right? Being in partnership with other people. So there's this justice, right? It's like, where am I hoarding and too focused on me and not, right? Not in balance with the other, with who else is out there, right? That wants to merge with me in their resources. Yeah. Let's see what Sagittarius. Sagittarius. What's the ego in Sagittarius? What's the ego telling Sagittarius? We got two, and they're both duplicates. So one's an addiction and littleness. So what does that say? You're addicted to being little here in the second house, right? So it's like, I can't handle the eighth house at all. I can't handle being in relationship with other people and sharing sharing their resources and my resources, right? So this addiction to the story that I'm too little and they're too big and I won't be able to set boundaries with them, with other people. I'll be walked all over, whatever happened to you in the past, Sagittarius, just to let this go, right? Let this go. And true self-reliance, I mean, you've been working on that since 2008, the second house, right? Issues, that's been in there since you've been working on self-worth for a long time now. So just to trust that you've learned a lot. Now it's time to take it on the road, right? Take it out on the streets, like what you've learned about self-reliance, that you're not going to lose your identity, right? That's the fear of the second house. Coming in true relationship with other people is that I'll lose my identity, right? I'll lose what I've gained. I'll become this again, this littleness. So this is an addiction, right? From the ego. You're too little and they're too big and they'll take advantage of you and they'll exploit you and hurt you again like they did in the past, right? Yeah, so justice is coming. So if you're feeling limited, this is the thing, right? If you're feeling limited by your finances and the finances seem to be drying up, that means you got to go more on the other side. I know it sounds counterintuitive, right? Because the logical mind is, well, I don't have enough money. I've got to work more. I've got to like get strategic in how I get more money. It's like, no, you go to the 8th house and you open yourself up, right? To being more open your boundaries more to be with people. And then the prosperity comes in. That's how it works. It's not logical, right? This energy, we're working with energy now for the Aquarian age. So drop this addiction to be that the story the ego is telling you that you're little and you're too small and you're not strong enough to stand up for yourself and set boundaries if you need to. Okay, so what's underneath that for Sagittarius? What's underneath for Sagittarius? Oh, that's beautiful. That's communion. So you can see a man and woman in a heart shape there. So this is communication at the highest level, is communion. It's like really opening yourself up, Sagittarius, the 8th house, right? Opening, taking down the boundaries, taking down the walls. Doesn't mean you don't have boundaries, but they're soft, you know? It's opening yourself up to love again, right? With the 8th house. And communicating not just with the mind, but your whole self, your whole being, communicating to another. You know, have you ever been in the presence of somebody that really is conscious, right? And they listen to you and you feel really, really heard and accepted? That's communion. It's like both your minds almost become one, right? That can happen with us. This is the Aquarian relationship, the communion. So that's what I would say with Sagittarius is don't underestimate all the work that you've done over these years since 2008 and that you can open up for this. And then that's what it's showing, right? You're longing for this, the communion, and don't get addicted to the little story, right? Yeah, it's opening up your heart to other people, like in a real, like intimate, right? It's an intimate way with the 8th house. Okay, that's beautiful for Sagittarius. And then the Capricorns. The Capricorns. Oops. Somebody's sticking out here. There we go. Okay. The Capricorn. And of course, it's in your 1st house. So Capricorns, like I say every video, have been through the miller, like through the ringer. Since 2008, Pluto's been in there in the 1st house. So this is a whole shift in your identity. The Capricorns can probably relate to this, like the stuff that they've been through. They've got until 2025. So feeling limited, just limited in their old identities, right? They've had to completely rebirth themselves in a way, right? And who they're becoming. Probably something very, very different than 2008. So having to do a lot with their identity and how they show up in the world. It's been very, very shifted and changed. In their appearance too. I know a lot of Capricorn rising people that I've know have gotten lots of dental work or lost tons of weight or gained a lot of weight, like something dramatically happening with their appearance, right? Through these years. But it's all about their identity and how in their ego, right? Their ego being completely dismantled and then restructured again. Yeah, with that. So this is about 7th house, right? The justice is happening between the balance between them and their needs and how they're asserting and showing up in the world, and then their partner, right? That balance is taking place. This is the justice energy here. So it's karmic, very karmic with this Capricorn Cancer axis. So if they're feeling limited, like feeling, because they're going to feel it so viscerally, because it's how we, right? It's our image to go to partnership, right? Go to their partnerships for balance, right? They're focusing more on their partner, but not in a codependent way. Just getting interested in their partner and what their partner's needs are. This will bring justice, that justice energy. Let's look at the card and we'll get more of a sense of the Capricorns. Okay. So also letting go of any conditioning you've had around your image. You know, if you've been conditioned that your appearance is what matters the most and not who you are on the inside, that could have been shifted and changed through this process. Too self-absorbed, right? Which they have been, because 60's been in the first, but now it's time to step out of yourself and get more interested in other people in a real way. Okay. Right, and it's Cancer. Your partnerships are Cancer, so nurturing partners. Allowing yourself to be nurtured. That's another thing, right? Capricorns are not good at that, right? They're all business. It's all about business and duty and obligation. They're not so good with emotions, and that's why their partnerships, why they're attracted to nurturing partners, right? Because it's to balance them out. Okay, so the card here for Capricorn is my old favorite, projection. It's called projection. Yeah, so, right? So the shadow of limitation in the first house, it's like it's your fault. I'm feeling limited in life, right? So blaming their partners why they're limited, right? If you would just do this, I wouldn't feel so limited. Yeah. And so it's not just their partners, it's the other, like blaming other people for how they're feeling or what's... And the secret with projection, you know, Capricorn people, is whatever you're projecting, whatever you're blaming another person for, you're actually doing yourself, right? So to bring it back inside to you. Oh, I'm blaming my partner for not listening to me, right? Then it's like, well, you're not listening. You're not listening to other people, and you're not listening to yourself, like your real voice, right? Like things like that. Or he's controlling me, right? He's controlling me. It's like, bring it back to you. It's like, no, you're controlling him too. And maybe in a different way, a passive aggressive way, but you're still controlling because you're projecting, right? You're projecting. Or projecting that he only loves me for my appearance, right? He doesn't really care who I am as a person. Well, then you're like, I only love myself for my appearance. Like, just keep bringing it back to yourself, back to you, back to you, back to you. That's what I would do. Okay, let's see what's underneath the projection. For Capricorn. What's underneath the projection for Capricorn? Another duplicate, self-attack. Yeah. So, right? This is when bad things happen to good people. Why are these bad things keep happening to me? Right? I'm a good person. Well, it's self-attack. It's coming from your own mind, right? Your brain, you're drawing it in. And I know that sounds like victim shaming, but it's not. It's taking responsibility for your life, right? And what you're You're a powerful being, Capricorn. We all are, right? Creating. We're creative beings. We're creating all the time. So looking at these little things, they could be little tiny things like I forgot my keys, I stubbed my toe, right? And just because it's projection, something bad, somebody was mean to me, right? They treated me cruelly. You bring it back to yourself. I'm treating myself cruelly, right? That's the self-attack. So it's really taking accountability, right? Yeah. Oh, I didn't get the gift. Isn't that funny? So this is how you're projecting. Oh, that's hilarious. Because it was in the gift card. I just realized that. So Capricorn got double duty here, projecting their own self-attack onto other people, right? So whatever's going on inside you, you project outwards, and then that person plays that role. You're really mean and cruel to yourself, right? You project that out, in comes a person treating you mean and cruel. On the external, everything coming out of that person's mouth is exactly what you're telling yourself. That's what this is saying. And it's right, it's related to your partnership. Okay, well, let's get the gift card. That's funny. I guess it's meant to be, right? That's how I look at it. No mistakes. Okay, so C.A. Patterson says, this is my teenage son and me. Yeah. Is he a Capricorn? C.A.? Okay. What's the gift underneath the projection? Yeah. That's the thing, right? With these 12 signs, it's they're just 12 slices of consciousness. We're all the same consciousness, and we all have 12 houses. We all have these signs within us somewhere. So same with the 64 archetypes, the 64 shadows too. We have them all. Okay. And where is the Capricorn rising? Yeah. What's the gift? Oh, there's a good one right there. So this is a big one for you, Capricorn, right? Letting go of this, and that's the ego's doom. That means you've stumbled upon a huge psychological dynamic to let go of, right? And the ego's doom, it doesn't mean the ego is completely dissolved, but it means a big part of the ego dissolves, right? This is about keeping the ego alive. It's projecting your self-attack onto other people and getting them to play it out for you, right? So to watch that. And with projection, right? Projection is like the arrow coming back, right? It's like with shadow work, it's like as the arrow's being pulled back, you see it, you grab it, you don't let it go, right? That's half the battle with shadow work, is to bring it back inside. Yeah. So do that with, you can't change other people, right, CA? But you work with it, right? You work with it. Don't, in terms of your son, if he's projecting or you're projecting, just don't play the game, right? Yeah, he's a Capricorn. Yeah. So don't play out his projection. I can feel that sometimes with people, but I've done tons and tons of shadow work right over the years, many years now. And I can feel like there's this pull sometimes with people. And I can feel like they want me to play this role, right? They want me to play their shadow. But I'm conscious, right? Not all the time, but I'm conscious, especially when it comes to dynamics like that. And it's like you've got to just pull back. It's like, no, I'm not playing that role for somebody else, right? Let them see it in themselves. But if somebody's completely unconscious, they're going to play it, right? So don't play the role with your son at all. Yeah. And call him on his projection, right? You're projecting right now. Yeah. Shadow work is huge. Okay, so that's all the signs. And I want to thank everybody for showing up today. It went by really quickly, and hopefully you got some value from this live stream. And have a listen to again. And then if you have somebody in your life that's, send this video off to them too, to have a little listen to, because this is a really important time that we're in right now with the energies. Yeah. So that's the message I want to leave people with, is just to stay aligned with those higher frequencies that are here. They're here right now. Whatever is giving you passion and joy, not spiritually leapfrogging, but what's inspiring you. Right? Stay with that energy, not the old energy. We're really letting go of this old past now. Okay? So have a great day, evening, wherever you are, and I'll see you next video, and hopefully it will be before next Friday. Okay. Satnam Aloha, everybody.